Kapa Hawaiian FM 100.3, 99.1, and online at kaparadio.com. As promised, another edition of the Kapa Cafe. Joining us today, there is no introduction, Kumuhula Multi Nahuku Hanohana award-winning, Hawaiian Renaissance, and we're going to go there for a bit, Robert Cazimero. Aloha mai.
Aloha, baby. Nice to see you, and thank you for having me here today with you folks.
This is going to be probably the first time we've talked to you outside of May. We always look forward to our normal tradition of talking to you on May Day, and you usually sing for us.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing about it is, let me sing for you right now, because we can sing any time of the year. So, Nani maoli noa o kona, hai ke kaumai o ka opua. I miss Kona.
You know, Kona is so beautiful, and you think about those lyrics, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now in beautiful Kona.
Yeah, it's what I see in my mind too, and I remember those days back with Liko Johnson doing wonderful things there, you know, and Molly, and I could go on and on. But you know, we are in a new time now, and suddenly I am part of what people are beginning to call the Kupuna era for Bobby Cazimero, which, you know, to be very honest, pisses me off.
But so Bobby, is that considered the Kupuna version of Robert?
No, it's considered what Robert Cazimero calls himself in private, but I guess I just made it public, no? But I think when I talk about myself these days, I like to think of myself as Bobby Cazamara. You notice the A at the end, Cazamara. It's kind of like Portuguese now. So in my later years, I'm trying to embrace that Portuguese Cazamara side. While I'm signing CDs and singing songs and remembering dear friends and family, it's a great place to be in, I think. I'm just grateful these days to wake up every morning so far, you know. So
you know, this project really, when I'm listening to it, this project, there's a few times where I'm listening to you speak as if we're sitting in the living room and we just talking story, and then you're going to sing a song. What was that like when you started to create this masterpiece?
you know, I tell you, it was a long time coming, and if it really, seriously, if it wasn't for Kuana and his manager and partner Mark Turner, I don't know that this would ever have happened. You know, my last CD was 2013, and that was Hula 2. And after Mountain Apple Company closed, I wanted to do another album, but I really wasn't sure about it because, you know, laziness, the Moloa time that I had was so wonderful that I was thinking, you know, I could go on for the rest of my life like this. But being encouraged to do it has brought to fruition a project that I'm so happy I did. I was so nervous about it, you know. But so this song, you know, the opening song, Anini Mine, I'm sure that you might have heard this already, but I'm going to tell you from my side. We had gone to Kauai to do a fundraiser for a friend of ours. And while we were sitting at the dining room table in Anini, Akuana had gotten his guitar and he was just playing around and then singing songs we were singing, and then he started to do this other one, and I knew as soon as he started that he was hakumeleing at that moment, you know. And because he was talking about Anini and the house that we were in, and after he finished the first verse, because you know, he looked at me and he said, "Your turn." And when he did that, I was like, "Oh shit, this is Kalama. Oh darn. This is, I feel like the gauntlet has been thrown down." And so I started that verse with the mine ika uike, and that was the beginning of it, and that goes back to 2019 actually. And so that when we started to do the project, which was like around in August of this year, 2020, mine was the first one that I started singing and started doing, and then it eventually led off into other songs. So I'm very grateful to K. I call him K, he calls me U. K is for Kuana, U is for Uluvehi. Mopopo. And and it has led to these 12 songs, 10 of them that I wrote and put the melody to. And the other two, the Kalai Kilohana, was written by Kilohana Domingo out there in Kalai. And he asked me if I would write a melody to it when I was there at their house, and I did. And then I called them and asked if I could record this song of theirs that they wrote, Kauhi Vai Aloha. And then the second waltz in the album, which is Hakipu'u, I had gone to visit a friend down on Johnson Road, and she said, "Oh, Arna Johnson's going to stop by." And I knew Arna, and I knew her mama Claire, because Claire used to do all the flowers for people who were doing arrangements in Waikiki, and she would deliver them from her properties. And so Arna said that this particular song was written by Mary Kavena Pukui, because she would go down there to the property and hang out with Arna's grandmother, her Rubelet Johnson. It was their gang, and they would do these songs. And she said, so she wrote this song for my auntie. I said, oh, interesting. She said, but there's no melody, and would you do it? And I said, I can try, which I say on the CD. So what happened was, it took me a while to get a melody to it, because I was trying to do it in a hula tempo of 4/4. And it just wasn't working. It wasn't coming to me. You're the first one I'm telling the story to. Yeah. And I was sitting there at my piano, and I thought, I'm going to try and think of it as, that time, waltz tempos were very popular, so I decided to do it in that 3/4 tempo. And it was like Kavena was right next to me. To me, it was like Kavena was there, because I would play the melody and I would do the songs, and it was just fitting in so perfectly. And I felt her ano, I felt her spirit singing and swaying along with me as I did it. And when I finished it, I was like, damn, I think this is my ka'iloa, and that's how that song of Hakipu'u came together. And I love the idea that I have two what I would consider old-fashioned sounding waltzes, because it is a throwback to that time. It is an appreciation to them. It's an opportunity for all of us to hanaho in the living that we're doing, and to give back, to carry on in this time of now, to remember the past and to carry it on to the future. Couldn't ask for anything better as far as I'm concerned.
That is amazing. That's amazing. But one thing
I'm
that
so happy to share it with you folks.
It's
Kona is so close to Waimea and Kohala.
yes. Yes. We have the
It's
honor of
awesome.
playing your music. We've been playing your music for decades on Kapa Hawaiian FM. And the one thing I reflect back to is you talk about the past and being relevant for the future. When you started off in Hawaiian music those years ago, the style of music was a little different.
Absolutely, yeah.
And how do you, because I watch and I hear the sound, your sound is still the same. However, there's a dynamic of the era that you've brought forth that's current.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's a very different liking to trying to sound like everybody else. And I say this respectfully, because sometimes
Yes.
there's a sound.
Yeah. I think it's very okay, let's go back to those days. 1969, when we started with the Sunday Manoa, going into the 70s was when that Renaissance period came to Hawaii, where suddenly everything Hawaiian now, starting with the fact of being Hawaiian, became important. Knowing who we are, why we are, how we are. Where before, it didn't seem that important. Suddenly, it was just pushed to the forefront. And the music with the Sunday Manoa, we were right out there. We were at a perfect time where the people that are considered legends to our music today, that seem so far away, were prevalent in our lives. They were prevalent. They were on stage. They were giving advice. They were sharing. it was such an interesting time to go there. However, as a 19-year-old person at the time, to me, it was all a big party. It was a big party to go to Gabi Pahinui's house in Nanakuli. I mean, Kalawai, in Waimanalo. To be with Auntie Genoa Keave downtown Honolulu, listening to her sing, and then she's calling up Betty and Bill's sons, Roland and Robert Cazimero, to come up and join. When Hawaiian music, there was, I mean, we were running across Kalakaua Avenue, which at that time was still two ways. Running across because Iva was over here and Malvine was over here, and if you went down over here, Jeff Rasmussen them were playing music over here, and the Makaha sons were, and Crayola and Capono, and then there was Capono and Cecilio coming along, and then if you want to go down to the ranch house, then you can go see the Jimmy Frudenberg them, to perform with all those guys, and we were all pals. We were all pals, mind you. Amongst the legends, we were the babies at the time, so it was a complete party until you begin to realize, and this, both of you know this already, that as much as you think you've chosen this lifestyle, this music period, this a career, you find out it is it that has chosen you, and that it comes with a paying back. It's making sure that we honor it and that we continue it, because we have always constantly fought for a place in the world today. One of the best things is that the music has helped us get us there, because we don't have very much left of that. We have the music and we have the dance, and we are beholding to those who from before, the kupuna before. I don't even like to say kupuna because they are so prevalent in my lives that they are as here as Jazz, you are with me today, I'm with you, Ka'ea, they are here, and I think that it is why we do what we do, to honor them, to make sure that we keep that promise, that we keep it going, that we continue it, and and that's why I got to go back to Kuana. Oh, you might be seeing a little friend of ours over here on the table. I'm not really sure. Kenny boy.
Hi,
This is
pretty.
Kenny.
Hi,
Yeah, Kenny
sweet,
is right over here
sweet.
because he loves to sit right next to me. I don't know why we became friends a long time ago, because me and animals, except for maybe a big Saint Bernard. I love her.
We have one too. We have one too,
Really?
and she sometimes makes her booty comes across the screen every so often, and so we have to keep her
Yeah.
in a place where she's not on screen.
Yeah, well, Kenny, this is his house, so. But I wanted to say that's one of the things about being with Kuana uh, as a friend now, is the fact that I watched him do all these CDs. Yeah, he did one for almost every island, and then he kept doing CDs, because the thing about Hawaiian musicians is that we don't usually do that many projects. When Roland and I, we were so spoiled. We do some, yeah, maybe in one year we did two, but then we would go for a period and not do anything. But what Kay did was that infusing Hawaiian music in there, so that even as Hawaiian music, the contemporariness of it, and the island music idea of it was going on, there has to be you have to come back to a pu'uhonua. You have to have a kumu. You have to have a basis where all of this comes from, because we cannot forget that. I refuse to forget it, like how you folks do, and I appreciate that about him, and that's why doing this particular project became so important. It's to let people know that we are still here, that you can do whatever you want. You can choose to do whatever style of local island music you want, but in the end, you got to come back to the basics. And I saw years ago there's a group called The Green, which is really, really popular. And I know Brad from that group, but I saw them do one time a recording, just playing around of a Hawaiian song. And it was a lesson for somebody like Robert Cazimero. Because, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, God, fun it. These guys are playing all this other kind of music. But do they know where we're coming from? And then to see someone like a group like The Green doing a Hawaiian song and not just pretending they're doing it, but actually knowing what they're doing was such a, it put these hands on my shoulder that said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But the presence of people like me, because we're leaving quicker than I can say rumpled the kind of skin. And so that's important. People like Kay, people like Manu Boyd, people like K.L. Ho, people like Kaea, people like Jazz, people like Shane on Maui, people on Kauai, to still keep that part of who we are important and prevalent, because it gives credit to what was and to what is, and that's what keeps us going too. It's not just us, it's you guys too. Oh, nice shirt you're wearing.
Nice
We're not as
shirt.
loud as you- not as loud as yours, that's for sure.
There's no
I-
reason to be.
I asked him to plucky Nico and put on a
truly,
t-shirt and jump in.
I went full botcha.
Really?
Yeah, I had to.
I tell you, you smell beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really.
It's from the
Hi, Anna.
Ukas. Natural
Okay, you
juices
do the
and
uka,
herbs.
and I'll do the kai. And Kenny Boy is right over here on the
Yeah,
table.
I'm sorry. You know Kenny, he's an attention seeker. He's over here dead right in front of us.
I wonder
I
who
love
he gets
it.
that from.
One of the things that Anna's been able to do during this time of COVID and everything, especially when you mentioned Mountain Apple earlier. Now, many of us no longer have distribution and things like that to get us in stores. Many people aren't buying. And Kwan has been able to capitalize on that and do his own thing in many ways. What are your feelings on releasing now after, not releasing since 2013, and now we're in a streaming world?
Is this you?
Yeah, go.
Or both of you.
Oh, Manao? Mamo?
No. Oh, come here.
Okay. Well, I've been doing it for some time already now because we kind of, being in the industry, we already knew where everything was headed. So, I don't want to say take advantage. We started preparing for what was to come, and we knew that was what's inevitably. We knew that's where it was headed. So, we took advantage of the situation. We put certain things in place, and by doing so, in Hawaii, once you do something different from everybody says, "What you doing? You guys ruining it for the rest of us." But no, what it boils down to is everybody is so po'opakiki, and they're so complacent to where they stay. They expect this going to be. We have people coming into the industry that still think it's the same way it was back in the 90s. Oh, we're so far away
Or the
from that.
70s. You wouldn't know about that because you're the baby.
Jesus told you. And the angels. We
gonna-
sang the song. Mary called him Jesus, but I called him Lord.
That's right. I do remember that. I was so jealous of that recording, by the way, because I wanted to dance it. I choreographed the whole thing on water.
Oh,
Yeah, because he's. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. No, but yeah. So, and nowadays the kind of tools that we have put in front of us with social media, everything being online, it took some ingenuity. It took some getting used to, especially during the COVID time. We had a whole year to figure a lot of stuff out, and I think that for the most part, majority of our peers and even the younger generation took the opportunity to take what they had and put it on a marketable platform, so online stuff. But we've been doing that already 8, almost 10 years already.
You guys, yeah.
Because, because this industry, it's always kahuliana, 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 huliao, huliao, huliao. Everything is always constantly changing, and that's
So is life.
yeah, and that's the SOB of this industry. You guys know, radio is the same thing, constantly changing, and just a little change requires a whole big change in your way of life in the industry. And so we've been adjusting. As time goes by, we adjust. We do what we have to do to stay on top of ourselves, not on top of people. But we got to work out.
Sometimes.
It's all Hana. So I'm stick to the task at hand.
Come. So taking my cue from Kay, it's interesting because I've always been the one that just had to sing. I just had to show up, get that microphone and sing. Play bass maybe a little bit, and everybody else did all the whatever kind of social media that had to be done, or making sure that the songs were being registered, blah blah blah, stuff like that. I just had to show up and sing. Because of this new project and the fact that it's the whole thing is very, very new for me, period. I guess the best way for me to put it would be the one word: help. For real.
We kokua and kakao.
And that's the kokua that helped me out to get where I am today. And and they have been so generous. When I say J, I mean K and M. They've been so generous, and helping, when I need help with that getting on this kind of thing, I call Mahalal. Because now, luckily, get people younger than dirt in halal than can kokua me, And they, in turn, K and M, kokua the ones I'm asking to make it all work together so that Bobby Katamara can be here. Thank you so much.
Kuana,
Yes.
how has it been? How has it been? You've from your own, we've talked to you over the generations, the times, the years of supporting your music, not just yours, not Palapalai, all of you. But this time around, you have this opportunity, I would say, or this gift of time with Kumuuluvehi, Robert Cazimero, Baba Cazimero, Mara. What has it been like for you to be able to have this? Because it's a different time. It's your kuleana is a little bit different. It kind of brings me back to halal, It kind of brings you back to halal, that foundation of, okay, how do you gauge yourself because you're already an artist? What has that been like for you, that experience to be able to work together with Robert Cazimero?
Thank you for that question, because I think about it too today, and I've thought about it a lot, because it's been a really, as much as now I can say it's been rewarding, and I love it. It's a scary thing. It's almost like starting again. But what happens when you start again, and with the support that I've had because of all these friends of mine that go back for years, is that it's offered me an opportunity of rebirth. And you know how, all these old cliches, everything old is new again, that kind of thing, like, or even asking, why do you want to do it now? Time is of the essence.
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. Time is of the essence. When we had heard about Dennis Pavao being ill, and I heard that he went into the studio and he just started recording every song that he knew at that time. When I heard about that, I went into the studio several years ago, and that's exactly what I did. I just put them down, just because you never know, And now that here I am, years later, 72 years old, next to this darn young kid over here.
Not as young as I'd like to be, but okay, thank you.
I'm verklempt right now. Go.
I have to say, in response to your question, this is long overdue.
Sorry.
This is long overdue. We should have been doing this years ago. But I had the Ferns, he had the Bros, we were seeing our paths out until finally our paths went hui. And I can say the journey is just starting. I never even put on my other side slipper yet. We still at the very beginning of this journey, but I'm so excited because we can see kind of peek down the road what's
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah.
And with the age gap, that don't matter. To me, that's hey hello wale no kela.
Oya, oya, oya.
And we have so much ideas aside from his new album release, yeah, mine. Aside from this, we have so much other things
We sure
that we
do.
talk about, and that's the other thing that where we really hit it off is, you know, there may be an age gap of some 30 years, but there is so again just a number.
It's just a number. It's just. I could eat some more pumpkin pie.
It's a big number, but it's just a number.
Yeah, it's just a number. Eat.
Yeah.
Eat your heart. The kind. No, our time together, especially during the COVID time, where we really got to develop our relationship.
Yeah. Become really
We
peely.
found that we shared more similarities in life and in music than we ever knew.
Ever.
And you know, that's the kind of friend you look for in life, yeah. The kind where you guys, you look at each other and you don't need to say nothing. You get that ike, the
Exactly.
same ike, and we're on the same wavelength, and that is so. I appreciate that so much because a lot of my friends where I had that, you know, you grow up sometimes, and then they get their own ohana, they get their own life, and then eventually, you know, you drift apart. And so, having friends like that for me, I never have already, and I've gone without. Oh, maybe almost 25 years already. I have friends, but not that kind of friend. And so to have him come back into a person like Uluvehi to come back into my life like that, oh, it's for me that's the best part.
You know, and for me, the fact that, and I want to go back to the COVID time because I would be coming over here and he would be doing all these live shows, you know, for no reason. It wasn't to make money or anything. It was just because he wanted to sing, and so Kay would say to me, "You want to join me?" And I'd be like, "Well, I guess I could," not knowing that it was going to be such a way to keep the spirit going, the voice going, the ini to keep going, and without realizing that it would come to fruition in such a way that it would lead to this project of mine, but also the projects that we talk about all the time, because we've been working with dancers, which is not a new thing either, but it's just a rebirth, an opportunity to bring people along with us, not just the young kids, because you know the young ones are beautiful. That's what they're supposed to be. They are our immortality. It's all in the young ones. But when you can bring along with you people from our time and have them appreciate it in a way that we know, you know, like if I'm gonna sing for you to dance, ka'ea, the history that we have goes beyond telling. It's that kind of a thing that Kay was just talking about, which is we don't need talk. Because I know what you're gonna do, you know how I'm gonna sing it. Because and if depending on how Kay or I are gonna sing it, you will dance it that way. And that's a hard thing sometimes to translate to a younger dancer or a musician, because if this history that we share, it's almost everything. It fills in the gaps of between a hale to the rain. You know, you can give me a hale, you can give me the ua, but can you tell me why that ua is particularly falling on this hale at this time, and that what it gives back to it? That's the history part. hard to explain that kind
Actually, I can't tell you because it's that time of year and there was a monsoon coming and the weatherman told me it was coming. So I actually knew it was coming. And
You
it was gonna be
see
on the
what
sun.
Utu Bang Bang has to deal with over here? Let's just put it that
The
way.
weatherman
okay?
said.
I tell you, it's a hard thing. That's why sometimes I go home.
Lie. You know go home. You know go home.
I don't know. I see a
Yeah.
TV show with you two guys.
Or a
Believe me,
podcast.
This is a party. It is a lovely, lovely party this morning. Who knew that it was going to be this kind of a party?
I love it. I love it. That's how the energy rolls. Now, with this, now I just did see that there's a new website and some opportunities for people who are listening around the world to actually purchase the physical copy CD.
Yes, it's at the Robert Cazimero. So therobertcazimero.com. That's me, because and I took an old account that I had and we changed it to this Robert because one of my guys is helping me, Kaleo Paavaras, young, 20-something years old, so eleu and akamai,
Yes, that's what we need is eleu.
Yes, we should. Well, no, you are eleu.
Well, thank you.
I'm so glad you finally said thank you because I've been waiting all this time to hear this thank you. Time. Because how many times I've been thank you already? They can keep records already.
I'll go check the recording.
Yeah. Yeah. But thank goodness, yeah. So that robertcazimero.com, therobertcazimero.com.
I never get there yet. I'm just kuanatorscahara.com. But hopefully, at some point in my career, I will be able to ho'okomukavi.
Well, I would just like to say that from now I'm going to call you the K.
The K. Little.
Life is never dull with K, with the K. Next to
VK.
yourself.
There should be a shoe. Hey, where you bought your shoes from? It's the kind of DKs.
I bought my shoes from VK. Yeah. And I'm going to hit you now with the Robert Cazimero shoe. Yes, we do have that now. And there's these things called Spotify and
Did you say Spotify? Fly?
I did not say
Spotify.
No, I said
Spotify.
what a fly.
When you
You see this? I tell you.
yeah.
Yeah, so again, thank goodness that because Mark helps out Kaleopa'a and Kay helps me out and we all help each other out and then voila,
Voila.
we have a new product and we have the Robert Cazimero.
We've always been in the game, especially me and Mark, in the game of trying to help our friends who help friends, basically. Yeah, especially in this industry, because plenty of our friends don't know of how to do certain things or what's happening.
Or in my
what it-
case, didn't think it was important.
But he didn't have to know. Like he said earlier, he just show up and do what he was made to do, sing.
yeah.
Whereas we were on the other side of the spectrum, so we showed up, but we had to do everything from the ground up. And so that's humbling. And that was on the other side of the spectrum. Not to say that on Robert's side it was not humbling. It was totally humbling because he had select people in his life on that side of the spectrum to help him with that. And just his pedigree too. That is, if that doesn't scream ha, then I don't know what does.
What did you say? Did you say pedigree?
Yeah.
You're really using
Your
fancy-
line age. Your line age.
I like.
I think some people
That's
call
all
it
I have to
lineage.
say.
Line
This is
age.
all. I have to say.
Lineage.
This is going to be
Your
my
line age.
Yeah, but really, it's been educational for me, and it's been the kind of education that is not forced on you, but done in such a style that it makes me want to learn more, and again, the opportunity to have the chance to learn more. I mean, who knew that Bobby Cazimero would be around this long? And there's nobody more grateful than Bobby Cazimero.
So traveling tour dates, what does that look like? Will you be actually on the road promoting your CD?
We are waiting for that opportunity. We have just gotten back from a trip, doing shows and workshops. We went to my first time traveling with Kay actually for work. That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
We went to Seattle, which was beautiful because it was chilly and the fall leaves were changing, and the people there that took care of us were so olu olu, and lovely, lovely opportunities there. And then we went to Los Angeles, and that was a whole different opportunity to learn things. But more importantly, we got to play music, and boy, did we have a good time. Sometimes when I'm singing, and then he'll come in on a second part, or he'll be singing and I'll come in. It's just so natural, and I mahalo that opportunity to have that, and we can't wait to come to Kona and share it with everybody there.
We cannot wait to do anything.
Yes, well, that's
And
true too.
everything.
I want to go from Hilo all the way around the island to come back to Kona and then back to Hilo.
But yeah, we're trying to create a lot of hype and a lot of opportunities for Robert's new CD.
And he has a new CD as well, you know. We
It's
do.
both together, have
Yeah.
separately, yes.
Yeah, so we can talk about all these songs together and where it's taking us and how lucky we are to have these opportunities.
But you actually have we have some stuff happening this year, the end of this year, moving on into Christmas. Nothing major like what we did in the mainland,
Yeah.
but some little things here in Hawaii.
Like at Blue Note for
and-
Kay.
And he also has a tentative Japan trip. It'll be his first international trip
Hopefully,
since
yeah.
the pandemic started. So.
And other than that, there's Chai's, Chef Chai's, where I perform on the nights of the full moon. So we have that coming up in November, just like he has Blue Note. And then in December, I have 5 consecutive nights for the Christmas holidays at Chai's as well. And you're going to the Big Island for a little bit.
Much like the pandemic, I think a lot of people's schedules are uncertain because every state and or country is still constantly changing, and so as a result our schedules are changing. But I can say this, 2022 we have a ton. 2022, watch out, because we're coming with a force.
We're coming with a force.
We have so many ideas. We've already booked a handful of tours in the mainland, and that's both East and West Coast. And we also have some ideas on the shelf for other projects. More plainly, collaborations.
Yes.
Awesome.
It just reminded me. I just wanted to say this before our time runs out, and that is, I'm Hawaiian. We're Hawaiian. I know I'm Hawaiian, but when I'm with Kay, I learn so much more about what I can do to be a better Hawaiian. To feel comfortable to be there, and what I love is when we perform together is that, I had the kind of crowds that we had as the brothers Cazimero, and Kay has his crowd when he was with Plopalai. But when we're together, I get to see people, more people, more differences, and yet more like our relationship, more similarities than there are differences. And it makes me even prouder to be Hawaiian, and I like that. I like that acceptance of myself and from others as well.
The wonderful thing, and this is just coming from me, and also being able to hear feedback from people when it comes to both of us, is it's two spectrums of Hawaiian music, yeah? Two different sides of the spectrum, sorry. And so Robert's on one side and I'm on the other side. It's Hawaiian, but Robert, what they exude on their side, and what he has done with his brother, Jesus, Yes, am I wrong? You know,
What's going on here?
He has all that classics, amazing, dramatic, and then ness of Hawaiian music. And then me, being on the other side with Napa Play, we get the raw, the cunny, bust the string, sing for the heavens, grab the beer, Uncle Auntie come dance. We're on that side. So when you take those that kind of Hawaiian music and you mesh them together, what do you get? You gotta come watch the show.
You gotta.
It's
What
such
a great
moment.
segue. What a great segue.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I tell you. Yeah.
Needless to say, we have fun, but it's a classy show.
I love it.
Totally.
Well, because of me. Nah.
Oh,
Just kidding.
we
How's your slip up?
definitely,
No, no,
we definitely want to support whatever is coming our way with the new endeavors. And we both, on behalf of Jazz and I, are very grateful to have the opportunity in our, with Kapa Hawaiian FM, to share both of your music right here on the airwaves and of course worldwide. So to your commitment and to your aloha for Hawaii and to us in uplifting our lahui and our Hawaiian music, thank you. Mahalo nui. And again, getting
Thank
that
you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Robert
You too.
Cazimero.
Yeah.
The robertcazimero.com, right?
Yes, therobertcazimero.com. We're working on the K.
Right now, I'm just walking through the screen and I got.
Mahalo for joining us, gentlemen. We are so grateful.
Love you both so much, and thank you. Keep doing what we're doing now. Keep doing what we're doing.
Oh yeah.